Welcome back to another episode of Unraveled and Rising. I am your co-host, Michelle, with my two wonderful co-hosts, Kimberly and I was trying to point down, Terry and Kimberly. So thanks for coming on. This is going to be a great episode today. Stay tuned because we're going to talk about a program in Denver that is providing valuable services for the homeless community and talk about potential trauma issues here and how we come back from that and help in this area. It's wonderful. So just stay tuned for that. If it's the first time that you're here, it's your first time listener, thank you so much for coming. And if you've come back before or you're coming back again, we appreciate it because we are truly inspired by the topics that we talk about every week. Please like and subscribe and share it with somebody who needs to hear this message today. That would be great. I am going to turn it over to Kimberly, who's going to introduce our guest today. She has she's very familiar with him and works with him, and I will let her talk about his amazing accomplishments.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Welcome, Brother James. Brother James goes by JP Hall. Yeah. He is a BSG, which I'm not sure what that is, Brother James.
Brotherhood of St. Gregory.
Okay. And an executive director of a fantastic program we have here in Denver, which is the Rocky Mountain Refuge for End-of-Life Care. One of only 4 in the entire nation, or in the country, sounds like there's a 5th one on the way in Dallas. But James Patrick Hall is a friar with the Brotherhood of St. Gregory and retired from a career in mechanical engineering. JP is a founding visionary with Rocky Mountain Refuge, beginning with the very first discussion in 2017. He served on the board of directors since the incorporation in 2019 and was appointed the executive director in 2021. JP works extensively with people on the margins of society and served as a volunteer companion caregiver at Clare House in Tulsa, a similar sister organization through Omega Home Network from 2003 to 2006. JP also participated in care of his mother and his younger brother, who were both on hospice care. So welcome, JP. JP and I have been working together with my caregiving registry for, are we 3 years now? Or
we're about 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's been about 3 years. Yeah. And it's been great. We've been very happy with the relationship.
Wonderful. So tell us about this wonderful program that you had up there.
So here's the deal. We provide the home and family for people who may not have one. Everywhere, all over the country, people are talking about where do homeless people live. But very, very few are asking where do they die. And they are dying, a lot of them. They're aging, they're getting sicker, they're dying on the streets, they're dying in cars, motels, and hospitals. Hospitals are not a particularly nice place to spend your last few weeks. Nurses do not have time to sit and hold your hand. CNAs don't either, and there are chaplaincy and social work offices are understaffed. So basically you just lay there. I mean, there's not much you can do. We provide a home-like setting, and we companion with folks, and I tell people it is exactly like if your Aunt Rosie was in your second bedroom. We keep people clean, we keep them fed, we companion with them. We have a therapy dog program. We take them out to smoke a cigarette if they want. We help them with the showers, and we bring their medications to them, and the people take them just like in your home. We do document that quite a bit more than homes do, but the hospice nurses, and it doesn't matter what hospice, the hospice is totally up to the individual resident, and they can choose whatever hospice they want. The hospice oversees their medical care, again, just like in your home. They provide the medications, the directions, what to give, when to give it, how to give it, all that kind of stuff. We only provide what's called custodial care. We do not do any skilled medical care, and that means no injections, no IVs, stuff like that. We will take care of colostomy bags and Foley catheters, things of that nature, but if it requires any sort of skilled medical care, we can't do that. the hospices come in and they oversee the patient. They provide medications. We keep it locked in a double locked container. We document all the medications and we document what happened during the day. And the hospice nurse goes through all of our notes and records and can see what all is going on. And if there's ever any issues, any questions, we call up the hospice nurse, just like at home. So that's basically what we do. We are primarily focused on people experiencing homelessness. That's our major focus. But we do also accept people whose homes are not safe for them. And that typically means they have no one in their home to care for them. And that can be an adult person whose children are out of town or working and can't, whatever. If their home isn't safe for them, we can take them. We only have 3 beds. And as a result, we can generally, at this time, we can only take people who are pretty close to bedbound. They don't have to be bedbound, but they're generally heading in that direction pretty quickly. Our average stay is about 18 days, which is a little longer this year than last year. We have an anti-discrimination policy. We don't care about we don't care if you're a veteran, if you're undocumented, if you're different, your gender identity is different, your sexual orientation, your religion. None of these issues are issues for us. And because we don't take Medicaid, we can pretty rapidly bring people in. When someone contacts us, which is probably at this point most often coming directly from hospitals, although hospices also directly contact us, and occasionally I'd say about 60% are coming from hospitals now, and about 35% from hospices, and the last remaining little bit from wherever. Sometimes shelters contact us directly or something, see, what was I saying? When folks come to us, we interview them. We see, we tell them about our program, and to actually enter our program, they must be on hospice. So a hospice organization has to have accepted them to provide the medical oversight. Now, they can finish their intake in our facility. Some hospitals will allow them to go on hospice in the hospital, others won't. So they have to finish the intake in our facility. They can do that. The other requirement is that they have a Colorado Most form set up for DNR, because we cannot resuscitate people. That could be construed as skilled medical care, so we do not resuscitate people. And typically, when you're that far along in hospice, and most people are pretty sick, and a resuscitation would be it's generally a violent experience, and it's difficult to recover from, even if you survive. So when they come to us, they have to have a DNR, do not resuscitate.
JP, what would you say is the average age? Because you definitely have a bit of a younger population, in my opinion.
We do have a younger population. In fact, I can tell you we keep pretty good statistics. 20% of our people are under the age of 49.
Wow.
60% of our people are under the age of 65. Well, 80 if you count the 20 before that. Between 50 and 64 is 60% of our people. And of course,
in the hospital, I'm seeing it younger and younger and younger, for sure. Do you have any relations with UC Health?
Yes, we have a very good relationship with UC Health. UC Health has been one of our supporters, and in fact, we're bringing in a patient today from UC Health.
Is it the main campus?
It's the one in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And to make a point of it, we take patients we're not just Denver. We take patients from anywhere in Colorado.
Okay.
If you're in Colorado, we can accept you.
Okay. I would love to give your information to this case manager and the social workers that I work with. I work at both Longs Peak Hospital and Broomfield.
We've taken someone from there too.
Yeah. Longs Peak has I work on the floor where they do have a palliative on hospice GIP, not a GIP I mean, they just do GIP there. They accept them onto palliative care there. They don't always stay with us. Sometimes they do, but they usually just get the palliative and hospice in place, and then they kind of transfer them out.
Right. And I think that we've taken someone from Longs Peak, I'm pretty sure. I know that we've worked with them.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But UC Health, we from Colorado Springs to up what's further north than Longmont?
MCR, Medical Center of the Rockies.
I'm not sure where that one, but we've had quite a few from UC Health all over the state, up and down the Front Range. We haven't been able to really break into the far side of Colorado, but we're hoping to someday.
Yeah.
I asked that because Broomfield just became GIP at the end of September.
Okay.
So
I would also, I'm available to come to various hospitals, caseworkers, and meet with them and have a little program and tell them about the organization.
I think I'll pass your information off, because we did just become GIP and at Broomfield location, which is like 120th and Wadsworth.
Right. And some of the issues are the GIP thing. You have to qualify to be GIP. In other words, your illnesses have to be such that a family can't take care of you.
Right. Symptoms out of control. Yeah.
Right. If your symptoms are not out of control and you're just on a long downward trajectory, you only really need custodial care. You don't need the expense of a hospital and stuff.
Right.
And that's one of the things we do, is that it costs us about $1,000 a day to run this setup, and that's for 3 beds. So we are able to provide this care for far cheaper than a hospital can.
Yeah.
Because of course we operate as a shelter, and we're only providing custodial care.
Yeah.
Our caregivers are great, and I think we pay them pretty well, actually, for what we do. But it's hard work.
And when I went to nursing school, I learned nothing about trauma-informed care, and I learned nothing about hospice care, end of life. And so what I find in the hospital, because Kimberly taught me everything I know about hospice, because it was a new area of nursing that I went into when I met Kimberly. Which was a true gift. I really enjoyed working with her and the patients that we were able to care for together. And I just fell in love with hospice. But so many people, even some of the people at the hospitals, you can just feel the resistance of, just having to have those hard conversations with family and not knowing what to say. And, and what I find is just giving the family permission to know that this is just we come into the world breathing, and we leave when losing our breath, and it's a natural process, and it's just managing the symptoms of the body as it's taking its natural course.
That is really profound, because I found that most medical people I've been involved with want to make things better.
They do.
And there comes a time when we can't make things better anymore.
And it's just support.
So what we do is we make things better by making people comfortable.
Yes.
And they can relax. I've had people come in and just, it's pretty remarkable. They come in and they're tense, they're worried, they're stressed, and they understand that they're now in a place where they can stay, and there's going to be people there that's 24/7, take care of them, and they relax, and they pretty quickly expire. We had one gentleman came in, and he was so happy to be there. He was so happy to be there. And he and our caregivers I was doing some paperwork, and in the other room, I heard him they were. He was a double amputee below the knee, and he was sitting up in bed, and one had one hand, one had the other, and they were dancing and singing.
Oh.
You know, I mean, he was really happy to be there. And then the next morning, I called to check on him, and the caregiver said that he had skipped breakfast and was taking a nap. And then about 15 minutes later, she called me and said he's gone. He didn't even make 24 hours. He relaxed and was happy and let it go. But when you are constantly in stress and constantly worried about, are you safe? Is somebody going to get me? Is someone going to steal my medications? Because when you're a person on the street and a hospice gives you a bunch of opioids, well, you become an instant target. If people find out you have it, you are a target.
Yeah.
And even if you are able to rent a motel room, and sometimes that happens, like a family member will rent a hotel room for you. If your friends on the street find out, they're going to want to get in that hotel room with you.
Yeah.
To have a place to stay. And then they're going to, if they get in there and they know you have drugs, well, sometimes there's a real possibility of stealing them and selling them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is information that I've been told by our residents.
Well, it's very true. I know with me and Kimberly, there were a couple instances where we had to actually buy lock boxes. And when we came in, we had to monitor the intake of the medications
in people's homes.
Yeah.
Because there's family members that were questionable.
Yeah.
That's terrible, but I totally understand it. We had a patient. I think this was before you, Kimberly. So it's been a while back. She, oh my gosh, this woman was an ornery stink. She flirted outrageously with all the guys on the wing that were at Denver Rescue Mission. And she was hilarious. We even caught her once. We don't know how she did it. She somehow got out of bed and found her cigarettes, which we thought were hidden, and was happily smoking in bed with her oxygen on.
Oh my gosh.
And we were she was very unhappy when we took it away from her. But anyway, she actually asked me to tell this story. She had uncontrolled uterine cancer and was basically disconnected from the diaphragm down. She had 2 tubes coming out of her back for her kidneys, a tube that drained her abdomen, and a colostomy bag. And she had been like this for a long time. And she told me that for over a year, she had been in and out of hospitals. She'd run out of her medication, typically because it was lost, stolen, sold by a friend or family member, or she would take it incorrectly. And I don't care who you are. These kind of medications are mind altering. And if you don't have someone watching over them, you will take them incorrectly.
Yep.
But anyway, she would go into the emergency room, get admitted, get her medications all straightened out, get her pain under control, and be discharged back to the street. She said she had done this every week to week and a half for over a year. Mm-hmm. Now, there is the human suffering, which is the part that I'm most concerned with here, but also think about the cost that it costs the system. Are the taxpayers of Colorado, how much that costs the taxpayers of Colorado to take care of this situation. When if we could have had a place like ours that she could have stayed in, and she was with us, I think 41 days. She was with us quite a while. And by the way, we have a 3-month, in our application, we tell people we have a 3-month limit, time limit. However, only 2 individuals have actually passed that, and they were recertified by hospice, and we don't make them leave. However, those same 2 individuals did go off hospice and did graduate, so to speak. So that does happen. Sometimes people, when people get taken care of, they get better.
They get better.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, the other thing, JP, you mentioned, you just keep them comfortable, but you guys do so much more than that. I mean, you put a roof over their head so they're not worried about where they're sleeping tonight. They know they're getting 3 square meals a day. They've got somewhere to and snacks.
Yeah.
Somewhere to go to the bathroom. I mean, things that we take for granted every single day, these people are fighting for.
Well,
Absolutely
when
right.
we talk about trauma, we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the basic one is food and shelter.
Shelter. Yep.
And so when you're not meeting a very basic need, the environment is not conducive for someone to heal. And so when your environment of providing that for them, it makes sense that some people come off because it's just meeting basic needs that sometimes, like Kimberly said, we take for granted that we have. And a lot of times people are medicating their internal pain.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so when you talk about suffering, you know,
Yes.
we're seeing so much of that right now.
We've had various residents that have come to us with an opioid addiction.
Yeah.
And the reason they started taking opioids, not and they were already homeless. They didn't become homeless because of the opioid addiction, but the reason they started taking it was because of pain.
Yes.
And so they were taking it for that reason, not really to get high or anything. And when they were properly medicated by the hospices,
Yeah.
and the hospices work really hard to keep them comfortable. We have a gentleman right now who got super nauseated last night. I don't know why, he just did. And our caregiver called the hospice, and we were very happy that they said, well, you know, we had medication there, and they said, well, give them more of this particular medication, and if he's not stabilized in an hour or so, call us back.
Mm-hmm.
Our that particular hospice is Denver Hospice, but our hospices, various ones, they're all very supportive and very responsive.
Yeah.
You call them, and yeah, they pretty much
Well, and
tell us
that's
what
the
to do.
thing with addiction. When you know, when you can look at it through a trauma-informed lens, you realize that people are medicating their pain.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And we society can often judge a drug addict because of the choices that they make, but the choices they make are an answer to their problem. You know what I mean? And we don't see that. We don't see that the love and stuff and those hormones that a nurturing parent can give, they're now finding in an opiate.
Yeah.
And it's giving those same effects. And so that is where I am so passionate about, you know, people learning more about trauma-informed care, because then we won't look at someone as an addict, and we're going to look at someone differently.
What happened to you?
Yeah. What happened to you? Not, you know, you're doing this to yourself, and why can't you just make better decisions? Because that's often what is said, and I've heard it in my own profession on a daily basis.
It's pretty difficult to make better decisions when we've never been shown better decisions to make.
Thank you.
I would say that
Yeah.
I would have a very hard time, out of all the patients that have come to us over the last 3 or 4 years, I would have a hard time picking out any particular one who wasn't traumatized.
Yeah.
All of them are traumatized. Just being homeless is traumatized enough. That's why I was telling Kimberly that we have just acquired. It's funny. We've just added a retired psychologist to our board, and he's working with our program manager to develop a better trauma-informed training for our staff. And along with that will be some gender sensitivity training.
Yeah.
We've had transgender people before, and we will have them again, and they're certainly welcome with us. So we're going to have some more training in these areas, so that whatever trauma our residents come with, that we don't in any way increase that, and hopefully in a little way can reduce it a little bit.
And I was going to say too, in regards to that, the thing I hear more that I've heard over the years that really is frustrating for me and causes irritation when people say, why should they get any special treatment at the end of life? You know, they chose to be homeless. They need to go out and get a job. This is the kind of crap that you hear. And I just want to implore people that are listening to this that, first of all, you're certainly simplifying the problem, because the problem is a lot more complicated than that. This mental health stuff that's going on that they were just talking about, that not, that mental health stuff and the trauma that they've experienced, they are doing the things they're doing and maybe becoming addicted because of that or whatever. But also it's affecting their health. That mental health piece that's going on with them is actually impacting their body in a way that is causing them to be ill. And like, if you have people that are dying at, 49 years old,
Yes.
that is a very young age to be dying because of this type of thing. So I just want people to open their minds about that. That whole thing of get a job just, irritates me every time I hear somebody say it.
Well, and I would tell people that are making comments like that to really look within yourself.
Yeah.
And figure out where that's coming from and where some of the biases might be. And that's part of trauma-informed care is recognizing our own biases. And and as nurses, Kimberly and I know that we take an oath that we will do no harm to people. Yeah. And doing harm is causing re-traumatizing people. And so it's very important that we're trauma informed. And that was nothing they taught us in school. And many times we come in and realize, oh my gosh, I have my own trauma. And this is why I came into caregiving. So that is what I learned about myself. And so when I say go internal, I've had to go internal myself and realize some of the things within me that, and the biases that I've had. But you know what? And it's been through my own pain, but it has made me a way better caregiver and someone that can have more empathy and compassion and love for people that are out there struggling. And you said something, Brother James, about not knowing what to do. And I remember a young lady I was taking care of at one point, and she had come in with some, her liver was not good, and she had a long alcohol history. And when we had to tell her about the decisions, this is the point where we've got to start making different decisions and offering her help with that. She just looked at me and said, I just watched my mom do this her whole life, coming home and having a drink to calm down. So you're right. Some of these behaviors are the only thing we saw. And how do I cope with things? Oh, I have a drink because that's what I learned. And so, being very sensitive and mindful to this is a human being that we are communicating with, and get curious. To me, I would say get curious and see what has gone on. Let's always seek to understand and not judge.
Yeah.
I know a woman who got it was a different organization, and I was in Oklahoma at the time, and she went to a mobile dentistry office and got her teeth fixed. And she told me that after all this was over with and everything and her mouth settled down and stuff, she goes, this is the first time in 17 years my teeth hasn't hurt every day. And she goes, I started drinking because it numbed my teeth pain. And then I became an alcoholic, and then I lost my job, and then I became homeless, and everything was worse. And now she said that she was going to try to stop drinking now that she didn't have the pain to numb with. But she did that because her parents numbed their pain with booze. And that's what she had learned, and that's what you did whenever you but of course that only made things worse. But then again, when that's all you know, that's all you know.
It sounds like a similar story. I had a young gentleman that was of Indian, they were Indian descent, and there was a lot of drinking in his family. And all of a sudden, he was in his 30s, and all of a sudden he was having major seizures. But he didn't realize, he did not connect that my seizures were being caused because of my alcohol withdrawal. And so all he kept doing is drinking more and more and more because it was the only thing that was keeping his seizures away. And so when you don't know, you don't know. You don't know. Absolutely.
We've had people who have had terrible experience in their life, and they are the kindest, sweetest people. Some of them are happy and joyful, even though terrible things have happened to them. We've had parents who and grandparents in there whose children and grandchildren came in to visit them. Just so you know, we do have visiting hours.
Mhm.
And they are between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And by the way, those visiting hours are required of us by Denver Rescue Mission. We rent 2 rooms from them. And I haven't actually talked about the place where we are. We are at Denver Rescue Mission's crossing facility at 6090 Smith Road in Denver. And we rent 2 rooms. They're old motel rooms. I think the place was built in the 50s or 60s for the Stapleton Airport. But Denver Rescue Mission has been super supportive of us. We have 2 adjoining rooms. Because they're motel rooms, they have bathrooms in them.
Mhm.
We have our rental agreement with them gives us access to their food. We have access to their laundry facilities, so we can do laundry. We have security. They keep. We're part of their security system, and we have Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
All of this stuff is part of our thing. They also they can't really change the bathrooms because there's asbestos in the walls, and you have to leave it alone, or it's either a small deal and leave it alone, or it's a giant deal and fix it. And
Very expensive.
and so we can't do that. So what they did do, however, is they put handrails and hand washing showers in our bathroom for us, and we have stool supports on the stools, and Denver Rescue Mission has really bent over backwards
Mm.
support us because they know.
Yeah.
They know what I was talking to a VP out there about this a year or so ago, and he knows about this situation. He actually started crying because he said it's so terrible
Yeah.
that there's nowhere for folks to go, and they can't. Regular shelters cannot take care of people like this.
Yeah.
When it gets, you have to have individualized care, and we have a caregiver that takes care of 3 people. And that's about the maximum we're probably going to do. If we ever get to grow more than that, we'll have to look at it. But, when people can't toilet themselves properly and keep
Mhm.
themselves clean, they really struggle shelters really struggle to care for them.
Yeah.
Some of our people come from hotel rooms. Hospices have been visiting them in hotel rooms, and occasionally hospices will be able to have a fund that they can rent the hotel room for the person, or the person has a little bit of money that they can or their family can or something. But I've been in those hotel rooms,
Mhm.
and I tell you, a person can't toilet themselves properly, things go downhill really super fast.
Yeah.
I knew of one hospice nurse who, on her own time, for over 4 hours, cleaned a hotel room for someone because he couldn't come to us until the next week. And she just couldn't leave him like that. And even then, when we did bring him in a few days later, it was back to being just terrible again.
Mhm.
So, like I said, we keep people clean, and that's a big part of it. I mean, who wants to be dirty like that? We keep them fed. We do bring them snacks. We do like to. We had one resident who loved root beer floats. Oh my gosh, had a lot of ice cream and root beer. One guy liked this mango juice. One lady she wanted a fruit punch, and I bought her some fruit punch at Walmart, and I took it over there, and she goes, "Well, that's the expensive kind. I don't like it. I want the cheap red kind from Walmart." And so I had to go back and get her the cheap red kind. One guy wanted 6 sugars in his coffee, 6.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the caregiver, I was over there one day when she handed the coffee to him. She goes, "You know what?" She goes, "I won't let my kids have anything like this, but you can have it."
Hey, that's like iced tea in the South, man. No problem there, man. That's what we drink for iced tea down
I know. I grew up with that kind of tea. If it doesn't burn your throat from the sweetness, it's not sweet enough.
God.
I was going to say, Kimberly, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to ask, how can this community help, JP?
Well, here's the deal. I tell people we have the car, the engine's tuned up, we have the drivers and the passengers. All we need is gas. Our biggest need is financial support. What would really be great if we could have people to become monthly donors, even if it's a small amount. All those small amounts add up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And they help stabilize our budget. But it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. We try to pay our caregivers a living wage because they deserve it. This is hard work.
Yep.
And Denver Rescue Mission gives us these rooms at a fairly low, what I consider a fairly low rate. But we do have to rent, and we do have to pay our caregivers. We have one employee who's a half-time program manager who is really good, but we do have to pay him. Mm-hmm. And so, it's really expensive. People who want to volunteer can come out and companion with our folks, visit with them, read books to them, if they want to. Sometimes they don't. And we get people of all different religious interests. Some people are very interested. We have a rosary group from Spirit of Christ Catholic Church that comes over and plays the rosary with folks who are interested in that. Other people are not, and so they just want to talk. It's entirely up to the individual what sort of support we provide in that area. But the biggest thing for volunteers really is companionship. But our biggest need is money. I mean, I hate to say it, but it comes down to that. If we run out of money, and Kim knows this, we've done it a few times over the last few years. Yeah. If we run out of money, we have to shut down our active operations, and then we raise money until we can open again. We opened originally in February 2021. No, 22. We opened in February 2022. We stayed open till November of that year, and then we reopened in January and stayed open until I think September or so. And then we were closed from then until July of 2024. Mm-hmm. And we have stayed open ever since then. Yeah. We have stayed open ever since. But it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say one thing you said at the very beginning, Brother James, was you surrounding them with family, providing the family that they may not have. And as soon as you said that, first of all, maybe a little choked up just you saying that, but also us, we talk about this a lot on this podcast about kind of like what the definition of family is. And they're all sometimes, we've talked about family trauma on this podcast. And so that to me really made my heart melt when you said that, because it doesn't have to be blood relatives. Obviously, family is who you make it and who you surround yourself with that can support you. So that was just really heartfelt when you said that. And it just made me choke up a little bit when you said it. So
I tell you, most of our people die with someone holding their hand or with them, talking to them, praying with them. They don't die alone. And some of our folks, that's one of their biggest fears. Yep. Yeah. They know that people die under bridges and sidewalks and stuff by themselves and terrible pain. They know about that. In fact, more than one of our residents has told us that people deliberately overdose to avoid that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think people really understand that in some people's lives, the world and their world has been extremely traumatizing to them.
Yes.
And so it's a world that they don't want to be a part of. And so when they can actually open up and receive love from strangers, like in your organization or even in healthcare, when the opportunities us as nurses have with those people, it's huge. We had a gentleman come in who was alcoholic, drug addict. And you know what? I remember taking care of him one day and just asking what he liked. And it was during the Olympics. And he was sharing with me that he liked skateboarding. And, just watching him flourish with the love that he got from the medical staff there was a beautiful thing to see. And so you're right, Michelle, your family doesn't have to be your blood family, because a lot of times that's where the pain is originated from. But when you can break a wall, and you do that to our audience out there by getting curious and setting aside biases and doing the work on ourselves and being able to accept someone where they are.
Love
And
that.
it is wonderful, because I've seen people, they really bloom. And now sometimes we have to be careful that we don't overdo it,
Oh, yeah.
because they get a little freaked out if it's too much, and we have to understand that and be conscious of that. But yeah, it's amazing how some people are, and they're kind about very small things. They will, offer me a cigarette. I don't smoke and never have smoked, and but they'll offer me one of their cigarettes, or they'll one lady had some costume jewelry rings, and she asked me if I would want one of those or something. I mean, they're receiving, and they're wanting to give back a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that.
And accept it, right? Accept it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's really nice.
Brother James, that brings up a question that I have. So what happens to these folks when they die then? Who takes care of that? Who pays for?
So when a person passes, I'll give you the whole deal. When a person passes, the caregiver on duty calls the hospice, and then calls the program manager, and they come out to do a discharge.
Right.
And what that means is the hospice nurse confirms that the person has indeed passed, talks to the coroner's office, and discusses it with the coroner's office. There's several questions they got to answer.
Yeah.
And when the body is released, then the hospice nurse calls the mortuary that the person has chosen themselves. We have it. We fix it up where they can choose themselves what they want. Then typically we destroy any controlled medication with the hospice nurse witnessing it, so that the controlled medication is legally destroyed. Non-controlled medication, we can do that ourselves. And controlled medication are like opioids and things like that. Then the person goes to the mortuary of choice. When that happens, the state has a program that handles indigent people's bodies, and they are typically cremated, although they don't have to be. The Archdiocese, the Catholic Church, also provides some burials there too. They have a crypt, I think, out at the Mount Olivet that they will put people in, whether you're Catholic or not. They will put cremains in there. If they're a veteran, we work with veterans organizations to get them in Fort Logan.
Fort Logan, yeah.
Yeah, we've had veterans go out there. Sometimes family members pick up, but basically once they have deceased and leave our facility, it's up to the coroner's office and the mortuary involved to deal with the family, and if any, and stuff like that.
So you guys don't pay for that then? That's what I was curious. Okay, so the state takes care of that.
The state or city takes care of that. They have, and I think the most they will pay is around $1,500. I think they have very inexpensive funerals or very inexpensive cremations and stuff typically. We had one gentleman who was he actually didn't come to us because he discovered his mother had paid some insurance, some long-term care insurance for him that he wasn't aware of. But he was an Odinist. That's a believer in the gods of Norway. Oh. And I asked him, I said, well, do you have clergy that we could have support you? And he said, well, not really. All he wanted was to be cremated in a lake up in the mountains. On a boat in a lake up in the mountains, a Viking kind of funeral. I'm like, well, the engineering brain kicked in. I thought, well, I can get a truck and I could probably find an old boat. And I thought, nope, the coroner's office is not going to give me that body. And I told him, I said, I just don't think that we can get that done. He goes, well, can I be cremated? And I said, oh yeah, that we can be certain of. And then he goes, and I said, is there anything else? And he said, yeah, I have a feast in my honor. And I said, that we can do.
Yeah.
And so, but he turns out that his mother had bought some insurance for him because she probably knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But when people leave, and then sometimes people leave for other reasons. If their condition becomes where they can't be taken care of comfortably with us, the hospice will move them inpatient.
Mm-hmm.
And then they either decease there or they return to us.
Mm.
So sometimes they get whatever condition it is under control and they bring them back to us. Then sometimes people don't want to be there. And if they can get up and walk out, they can get up and walk out. And so that's happened a couple of times. But for the most part, people are pretty happy there, and it's kind of interesting. They sort of set everything up around their little nest where they're at the way they like it, and they get pictures, and we try to make things. We have televisions for each person, and with headsets so that they can watch television and
that's
listen.
new, huh?
Yeah, that's fairly new. That's been in the last since Solomon came on board. I never could figure it out, and he's a millennial, so he figured it right.
Perfect.
So we have these headsets, and they can listen to what they want without disturbing the other residents.
Nice.
And
some of them probably haven't watched TV in years.
Possibly not. We had one guy that was absolutely loved old Jerry Springer shows. And I tell you what, I learned some things that I had never like. Oh my, that's really something.
Yes, that show. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. This has been, I just, for those of you listening or watching, please consider donating, even if it's a small amount. This is an organization in Denver that I really think is important to be able to class with dignity and be able to do that and have this wonderful facility that they can go to. So I encourage you to share this out. The link is in the notes here. We're going to share that out and donate and see what you can do to help with this. And if this isn't the right, donation for you, then there's lots of other organizations out there that probably need help as well. But we really think this is important. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, Kimberly, on this, or
I was just going to mention we're going to share the link for Colorado's Day, which is December 9th. Yeah. So, anything is appreciated. And then are we going to share the number too? If you're a hospice and you have a client that could benefit from this program, please reach out, because not everybody knows about it and they need to.
Absolutely.
And it's not just people who are experiencing homelessness. It's also people who are experiencing housing insecurity, and that means their home isn't safe for them.
Yes.
So we've taken several people who've never been homeless, but they had no one to care for them.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. Terry, any closing thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for all you do, Brother James. It's such a needed thing for, the suffering and the hurting out there, where there's a lot of people that don't have resources and, what society would just forget, dispose of. And so I'm really grateful for the service that you offer. And one challenge that I have even challenged myself to do, and I would like to challenge our audience, and that is when you see someone that's homeless or standing on the corner and asking for something, just acknowledge them, because they feel forgotten and they know that people ignore them and walk past them. But if you can't give anything, just say hello.
Just smile.
Smile. Yes.
I see you.
Because, yeah.
That's wonderful. One thing I would like to leave with is that understand the idea that people experiencing homelessness are when they reach the end of their life, they have shockingly few choices. Often the illness comes on so fast, there's no time to get Medicaid forms all together. People come to us in just their hospital gown. We don't even have their ID or clothes. And people people need to understand that our homeless friends, they reach the end of their life and they need to be cared for because no one's thinking about it. I honestly, I was in both worlds, and until my friend asked me where do homeless people die in 2017, it hadn't occurred to me either. It's so easily forgotten.
Thanks everyone for listening and watching. We appreciate you, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.